Today, CHRISTAFARI took a field trip to Alcatraz, 1.25 miles away from San Francisco, to explore what people have called Devil's Island, The Rock, the world famous Supermax, the first Supermax prison in America that was called inescapable. It's where the worst of the worst would come. People like Machine Gun Kelly, Al Capone, the Birdman, people with nicknames like Creepy would stay here. This is where not just the worst villains would stay, but more importantly, the most clever villains, the ones who were smart enough to have tried an escape or even escaped from other prisons. Here, prisoners would look right outside their window. Shimmering in the distance was this city that just dangled oh so painfully out of reach. They could hear the sounds being carried by the water across the bay of people partying, people celebrating. But they couldn't get off this island. So some of them started to dream of escaping. There were 14 attempts. 36 people tried to escape overall. And they say that nobody truly ever made it off this island and survived. We don't know about 3 people that did disappear. Alcatraz, it's iconic. It's featured in the end of one of my favorite movies, The Book of Eli. Of course, there's the movie Escape from Alcatraz with Eastwood, and of course, The Rock, which is fictional. I always was fascinated with prison break movies, prison break TV shows, whether it's The Island or, of course, Prison Break. And I always wondered what would happen if I got trapped in a prison. From time to time, I would even dream about it. And I think part of that is because when I was a youth, I got arrested 3 or 4 times. Some of my friends have spent quite a bit of time in jail. And so it got me thinking, what would I do if I was trapped in jail, especially if I was wrongfully accused of something? But here's the truth. We've all been rightfully accused of something, and that is sin. We're all guilty of sin. In fact, we're all prisoners to this sin. We were born in sin, and the wages of sin is death. So how do we get out? What is our way of escape? How do we break out of this prison? I've always said that God doesn't want to bust you. He wants to bust you out. He doesn't want to break you. He wants to break you free. He's not a police officer pointing a finger of judgment, trying to lock you up. He's someone like a fireman trying to break you out of a building on fire. And if you're locked in your prison of sin, there's only one way out. It's a key, and that key is the cross of Christ. It is the only way that we can escape. But here's the truth. So many people have just gotten used to this prison. They've gotten comfortable in their little 6 by 9 foot cell. They've adjusted to the 3 meals and a cot. Ever since I came to Christ, I've had this zeal, this steadfast passion to try and break others out of that prison. And it started with my drug friends, and then with my school, a whole school assembly, seeing 30 of my friends come to Christ, and then my state, and then the nation, and now the nations, to set the captives free. Jesus said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He's anointed me to preach good news to the poor, to bind up the broken hearts, and to set the captives free, to release the prisoners from the darkness." And that's our mission with CHRISTAFARI, is to set the captives free. So many more people would be set free if the prisoners would just realize that they're in a prison. And if people like you would go and set them free with the cross of Christ as the key.